What's up, YouTube? Sean the Average Angler here, and it is Friday. Friday. Last day of the work week, and we are in the office. We are in the office to discuss some jig fishing. In particular here, I'm going to kind of focus on the post-spawn time. I think a lot of us in the country, if we're not there now, we will be very soon. And a jig is a great way to catch post-spawn fish in a multitude of areas. So we're going to go over some of my favorites, and we'll cover where, what to look for, all that kind of stuff. And we're going to keep this pretty simple. I've got a total of 3 different types of trailers, and I have 2 different types of jigs, okay? And I'm not trying to sell you nothing, not sponsored by any of these companies. This is just what I happen to grab as I walked out the door from the shop, and I will put a link down in the description for some options, and there's some that are really, really good. And I'll put some down there for people who don't have a lot of confidence fishing jigs, and suggest certain ones that you try fishing to build your confidence, okay? One of those is the Ike Mini Flip. It's a great bait. Anyway, so for flipping or pitching, and honestly, most of the time I do more pitching these days. This is a 3/8 ounce Dirty Jigs Luke Clausen compact pitching jig. This is something I'm going to throw around, say, docks, tules, brush, that kind of stuff. In the post spawn, a lot of times fish are going to hang out and recover in those areas. There's a lot of forage for them. There's bluegill, there's crawdads. The bait fish will get up in there and try and hide. So there's plenty of forage for them. This is a Yamamoto 3.5 flapping hog. And I will essentially use 2 colors on my lakes. Yours may vary based on your forage base. The one is the purple emerald, which is a 213. The other, you've seen this a lot in my videos. This is one of my favorite Yamamoto colors. It's the 301. Again, this is a 3.5 inch size, so it's the smaller one. As you can see on the back of the jig, it's really not small. It's a really good sized trailer, right? So this I'm going to throw. If I'm around docks, I might go down to 16. And depending on the lake, most of the time I'm going to be throwing 20 on all of this stuff I'm going to talk about today, because where I fish, you're fishing for giants, okay? There's 10, 12 plus pounders swimming around in some of these lakes, Berryessa, Clear Lake. The Delta used to have 10 pounders. I don't know if they still do. All right. So that's an area you can kind of cover quick. And quite honestly, I prefer to hit that type of stuff in the morning. The flipping and the docks. Now, as the sun gets up, I like to get offshore a little bit. Not a lot. We're talking staging areas. We want to go back to where the fish were staging. In some places, that can be a ledge, a small ledge, drop off. Could be a rock pile in the right depth of water. For me, I like that 10 to 14 foot mark generally. That's for Berryessa and Clear Lake. That's for most of my Northern California lakes that are not spotted bass. Spotted bass probably going to get a wee bit deeper than that. So the other jig I'm going to fish is a 3/4 ounce or 5/8 football head. Okay, and I'm going to tell you the reason why I would choose one over the other weight wise. One can be depth, okay? If you're fishing a little shallower, then maybe you want to go with the 5/8. The other thing would be the trailer. Okay, this is a Strike King, I think it's a Rage Menace. Okay. Also, that Rage Menace is a great bait just to flip by itself. But it works very, very well on the back of a chatterbait, works very well on the back of a jig. Okay, it's a little bit more subtle than the other one I'm going to show you. And you can also use the flapping hog. The flapping hog works well offshore when they don't really want the bait moving too much or with too much action, because the next one has a lot of action. Okay, this is the trailer we're going to use. That is, and you can get the Rage chunk. They have these in a chunk. I'll link them in the description. But this is the Rage Craw. And I am going to take an inch off of this because it's fairly long. Okay, we want to make it a little bit more compact than that. I'll make my office smell like coffee, and since I'm drinking coffee, it'll fit right in. All right, just thread that baby on there, push it all the way up. And this sandtone jig, by the way, has these two rattles in it. The nice thing about them, if you don't want it, you just pull them off, okay? And there you go. So this is going to be when you want more action. And quite honestly, I find the more action to work just fine this time of year. The football heads are a Sandtone M series, which I believe might mean Matt Herron. It says it was designed by Matt Herron in conjunction with Brian Branham and Sandtone Lures. Okay. Anyway, 3/4 and 5/8 most of the time, okay? If you're fishing it really shallow, then maybe you want to go down to a 1/2 ounce. I've never found it necessary to do that. Just fish with your rod tip up if you need to. Again, 20-pound test. So a lot of the areas that I like to fish on Clear Lake, like I said, are staging areas. In the areas I fish, and this can vary from north end to south end because the north end's really flat. I like the 12-foot depth. What seems to be key to me in those depths is finding some sort of structure. It could be wood, it could be rock, and it could be a drop-off. Drop-offs don't have to be very big on Clear Lake. If you got a 1-foot drop, and it could be caused from when the water was low and wind-generated waves were lapping on the bank, and it'll eat up. So this can cross over to just about any lake in the country. Where you found them prior to the spawn, you will find them after they spawn, okay? The nice thing about it, when the spawn's going on, you're going to have pre-spawn fish coming in, post-spawn fish coming out. They're going to meet there. There's going to be a lot of fish. And you can really load up and have a good time on them. Offshore, I would start with this. Flipping it around docks, I would start with this, okay? When I'm flipping in the post-spawn, I want the bait to fall a wee bit slower. Pre-spawn, I'm going to flip a 1/2 ounce Texas rig bait. I'll even throw the flapping hog. I want it to get down quick. I want it to fall fast. In the post-spawn, I want it to kind of hang a little bit more. When you have fry garters around and those kinds of things, a little slower fall sometimes will trigger those fish. Look in the description if you do not have confidence fishing a jig and want to learn and gain confidence. I'm going to link down in the description, and it will say bonus jigs Look at those. Fish them. You will catch fish. Thanks for watching Sean the Average Angler. We'll see you on the next one.